Picture this. It's a cold, sterile hospital corridor, the kind that smells like antiseptic and echoes with the soft beeps of machines keeping people alive. A woman, her eyes heavy with worry, steps out of the ICU for a moment to catch her breath. She sees a man sitting alone, his head in his hands, looking like the weight of the world is crushing him. She doesn't know him, doesn't owe him a thing, but something in her gut tells her to walk over, to sit beside him, to offer a kind word. That one small act of compassion, that fleeting moment of human connection, sets off a chain of events so unexpected, so life-changing, that it'll leave you speechless. Who is this woman? Why was she there? And how does a stranger's kindness turn into a love story that defies all odds? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're gonna get the answers to those questions. And trust me, they're worth the wait. This is a story about love, fate, and the moments that change everything, and I'm telling it just for you, because I know you're here for something real, something that'll make you feel. Let's dive in, together, and unravel the mystery of how a single act of kindness outside an ICU became the spark of a love story no one saw coming. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another YouTube video promising a wild story, right? But here's the thing. This isn't just some clickbait tale spun out of thin air. This is the kind of story that hits you right in the chest, the kind that makes you believe in the power of human connection again. You're here because you love stories that feel raw, that make you laugh, cry, and maybe even call up someone you care about just to say, "Hey, I'm thinking of you." I get it, because I'm just like you. I'm drawn to those moments where life surprises us, where people show up for each other in ways that seem almost impossible. So, let's make a deal, you and me. Give me your time, stay with me through this journey, and I promise I'll deliver a story that'll stick with you long after the video ends. You're not just watching a video, you're stepping into a real, messy, beautiful human experience. And I'm gonna guide you through it, step by step, like we're sitting across from each other, sharing a coffee, talking about the wild ways life unfolds. You're gonna meet two people whose lives collided in the most unlikely place, and you're gonna see how their story answers that big question we all have. Can one moment really change everything? Keep watching, because I'm not just telling you a story. I'm showing you proof that it can. Let's set the scene a little more, because I want you to feel like you're right there in that hospital corridor with our two strangers. It's late at night, the kind of late where the world feels quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant murmur of nurses. Our woman, let's call her Emma for now, though her real name comes later, isn't a doctor or a nurse. She's just a regular person, someone who's been through her own struggles, someone who knows what it's like to feel alone in a crowd. Maybe you've been there too, standing in a place where time feels like it's stopped, where every second is heavy with worry or hope or both. Emma's got her own reasons for being at the hospital, reasons tied to someone she loves, someone fighting for their life behind those ICU doors. But when she sees this man, let's call him Jack, sitting there, looking like he's carrying a pain too big for one person, something in her shifts. She doesn't overthink it. She just acts. She sits down, offers a gentle, "You okay?" and listens as he starts to talk. That's where it begins, folks. That's the spark. But here's what you're probably wondering. What happens next? How does a conversation between strangers turn into something so much bigger? I'm not gonna spoil it yet, because you deserve to feel the twists and turns just like I did when I first heard this story. But I will tell you this, Emma and Jack's paths were never supposed to cross, and what happens after that night is a roller coaster of emotions that'll make you believe in fate, in love, in the kind of miracles that don't announce themselves with trumpets but sneak up on you in quiet moments. I want you to stick with me here, because this story isn't just about Emma and Jack, it's about you too. Think about it. Have you ever had a moment where you reached out to someone or someone reached out to you, and it changed the way you saw the world? Maybe it was a kind word from a coworker, a stranger who held the door when your hands were full, or a friend who showed up when you needed them most. Those moments matter, and they're what this story is built on. I'm telling you this because I know you're not just here for entertainment. You're here for connection. You want to feel something real, something that reminds you why we're all here, bumping into each other on this crazy planet. That's why I'm not just throwing out a bunch of facts or rushing to the end. I'm taking you on a journey, painting the picture so you can see Emma's nervous smile, hear the tremor in Jack's voice, feel the weight of that hospital air. You're invested now, aren't you? I can tell. You're wondering who these people are, what brought them to that ICU, and how on earth a moment of kindness turned into a love story that's got people talking. Well, I'm not gonna let you down. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how it happened, and you'll walk away with a story you'll want to share with everyone you know. But to get there, You've got to stay with me, because every detail I'm about to share builds up to a moment that'll blow your mind. Let's talk about why this story matters, why it's worth your time on a platform where you've got a million other videos vying for your attention. You're here because you love true stories, the kind that trend on YouTube for a reason. Stories about love, about overcoming odds, about the human spirit shining through even in the darkest moments. This story's got all of that, plus a mystery that'll keep you guessing. Emma and Jack aren't just characters in a script. They're real people, with real pain, real hopes, and a real connection that started in the unlikeliest of places. The themes here, kindness, love, fate, are universal, but the way they play out is anything but ordinary. I'm not gonna lie, there's heartbreak along the way, because no love story worth telling comes without its challenges. But there's also joy, the kind that makes you want to cheer out loud. You're gonna see how one small choice, one moment of vulnerability, can ripple out and change lives in ways no one could predict. And I'm not just talking about Emma and Jack's lives. I'm talking about yours, too. Because when you hear their story, you're gonna start noticing those moments in your own life, the ones where you can make a difference, where you can be the spark for someone else. That's the power of a story like this, and that's why I'm so excited to share it with you. You're not just a viewer, you're part of this, and I'm counting on you to stick around until we get to the heart of it. Now, I know you're itching to know more about Emma and Jack, and I'm gonna give you just enough to keep you hooked without giving away the big reveal. Emma's the kind of person you'd want in your corner. Strong, but not in a loud way. She's got this quiet courage, the kind that shows up when it matters most. She's not perfect, though. She's got her own doubts, her own scars, and being at that hospital isn't exactly a high point in her life. Jack, on the other hand, is a bit of a mystery at first. He's not the type to open up easily, but when he does, you realize he's carrying a story that's as heavy as it is hopeful. The ICU is their meeting ground, but it's also a symbol of everything they're both fighting for. Life, love, a second chance. I want you to imagine them sitting there, two strangers sharing a moment that feels like it's just them against the world. You can almost hear the clock ticking, the tension building, as their conversation deepens and something shifts. What is it? What's the secret that ties them together? I'm not telling you yet, because you need to see how it unfolds, layer by layer, just like life does. This isn't a story you can skip to the end of. It's one you've got to live through, moment by moment, to really get it. And trust me, you're gonna want to. Here's where I'm gonna pull you in even closer, because I know you're not just watching this video for fun. You're here because you're curious, because you want to know how a story like this can happen in a world that sometimes feels so cold. You're my people, the ones who believe in love, in kindness, in the idea that maybe, just maybe, the universe has a way of working things out. I'm talking to you, the person who's maybe had a rough day, or a rough year, and needs a reminder that good things can still happen. I'm talking to you, the dreamer who loves a good plot twist, the one who's already trying to guess where this story's going. I see you, and I'm telling you, this story is for you. It's got everything you're searching for when you type inspiring true stories or real-life love stories into that YouTube search bar. It's got heart, it's got drama, it's got the kind of ending that makes you hit the like button before the video's even over. But to get to that ending, you've got to trust me, gotta follow me through the twists and turns, because every second of this story is building to something you won't see coming. You're not just watching a video, you're witnessing a moment where two lives changed forever, and I'm betting it's gonna change the way you see the world, too. Alright, let's wrap this intro up with a little something to keep you on the edge of your seat. Picture Emma and Jack, still in that hospital corridor, their conversation stretching into the early hours of the morning. They're laughing now, despite everything, sharing stories that make the sterile walls feel a little warmer. But then, something happens. A phone call, a nurse's urgent voice, a sudden shift in the air. Emma's face changes, and Jack reaches out, his hand brushing hers for the first time. What just happened? What news did they get that made everything they just shared feel even more urgent, even more real? You're dying to know, aren't you? Good. Because that's exactly where we're headed next. Stay with me, hit that play button, and let's find out together how a stranger's kindness outside an ICU turned into a love story that's got the whole internet buzzing. You're not gonna want to miss this. Right where we left off, that hospital corridor is buzzing with a new kind of energy, the kind that makes your skin prickle because you know something big is about to happen. Emma and Jack are still there, their voices soft but steady, weaving stories about their lives as if they've known each other forever. But that moment, the one where Jack's hand brushes Emma's, where the air feels thick with unspoken questions, gets interrupted by the sharp ring of a phone. It's Emma's. and her face drains of color as she listens to the voice on the other end. Jack watches her, his own heart pounding, because he's starting to realize this woman isn't just a stranger anymore. She's someone who's already changed the way he sees the world, and he's not ready to let her slip away. The nurse's voice cuts through the corridor, calling for someone, and Emma hangs up, her eyes locking with Jack's. Whatever she just heard, it's big, and it's pulling her back toward the ICU. But here's the thing, you guys. This isn't just about that phone call. There's so much more to Emma and Jack's story, layers of pain and hope and secrets that are just starting to unravel. You're probably wondering what brought them to this hospital in the first place, why their paths crossed in such a raw, unexpected way. I'm gonna pull you deeper into their world, introduce you to the people and moments that shaped them, and tease out a few more mysteries that'll keep you glued to this video. Stay with me, because this true story is about to get even wilder, and I promise, every detail is building toward answers that'll blow your mind. Let's step back a bit and get to know Emma, because she's not just some random woman who decided to play Good Samaritan outside the ICU. Emma's in her early 30s, the kind of person who carries a quiet strength but doesn't flaunt it. She grew up in a small town outside Chicago, the kind of place where everyone knows your business, and she learned early on to keep her heart guarded. Life hasn't always been kind to her. There was a messy divorce in her 20s, a job that drained her soul, and a family that leaned on her a little too hard. But Emma's got this spark, this ability to find light in the darkest moments, and that's what brought her to the hospital that night. She's there for her younger brother Tommy, who's been in and out of the ICU for months, fighting a rare illness that's left the doctors stumped. Every day, Emma sits by his bed, reading him his favorite sci-fi novels, hoping her voice will somehow pull him back to her. It's exhausting, soul-crushing work, and that night when she stepped out for air, she was on the verge of breaking. That's when she saw Jack, slumped in that plastic chair, looking like he was carrying a grief she recognized. You've been there, haven't you? Those moments where you're so worn down, but then you see someone else hurting, and suddenly your own pain takes a back seat. That's Emma, always putting others first, even when her own world is crumbling. But what's Tommy's deal? Why is his condition such a mystery? And how does it tie into the phone call that just shook Emma to her core? Hold tight, because those questions are gonna linger a bit longer. Now let's talk about Jack, because he's not just some guy Emma stumbled across. Jack's a bit older, pushing 40, with the kind of rugged charm that comes from a life lived hard. He's a construction worker from Detroit, used to long hours and longer nights, but there's a softness to him, a side he keeps hidden under a tough exterior. Jack's in the hospital because of his mom, Diane, who's been battling heart failure for years. Diane's a firecracker, the kind of woman who'd tell you off one minute and bake you cookies the next, but her health has been slipping fast. That night, Jack was waiting for news from the doctors, terrified he was about to lose the one person who's always had his back. He's not the type to spill his guts to strangers, but when Emma sat down and asked, "You okay?" it was like a dam broke. He started talking about his mom, about the guilt he carries from years of mistakes, about the fear that he's running out of time to make things right. Emma listened, really listened, and for the first time in a long time, Jack felt seen. But here's where it gets interesting. Jack's got a secret, something from his past that he's not telling Emma, something that could change everything if it comes out. What is it? Why is he holding back? And how does it connect to the tension that's building in that corridor? You're curious. I can tell, and I'm not gonna lie, that secret's a game changer. Keep watching, because we're gonna peel back those layers, and you're not gonna believe where this story goes. There's another layer to this story, a subplot that's gonna add some serious intrigue. See, while Emma and Jack are bonding in that corridor, there's someone else watching from the sidelines. A nurse named Sarah, who's been working the ICU night shift for years. Sarah's seen it all. Families falling apart, miracles defying the odds, and everything in between. She's got a knack for reading people, and when she sees Emma and Jack talking, she senses something bigger at play. Sarah's not just a bystander though. She's got her own story, one that's tangled up in the hospital's history. Years ago, she was involved in a case that shook the staff, something about a patient who vanished under strange circumstances. Sarah doesn't talk about it, but it's left her with a sharp intuition and a habit of noticing things others miss. As she watches Emma and Jack, she starts to wonder if their meeting isn't as random as it seems. Is there a connection between them she's not seeing? Does it have anything to do with Tommy's illness or Diane's condition? Sarah's perspective adds a new angle to this story, one that's going to make you question everything you think you know. You love a good mystery, don't you? The kind that trends on YouTube because it's got you theorizing in the comments, trying to piece it together. Well, Sarah's about to become your new favorite puzzle piece, so don't blink. You might miss a clue. Let's weave in a little more context about the hospital itself, because this place isn't just a backdrop. It's practically a character in this story. St. Mary's Medical Center is one of those big, sprawling hospitals in the heart of Chicago, the kind that's been around forever and seen every kind of human drama. It's got a reputation for cutting-edge care, but also for being a place where strange things happen. Whispers of unexplained recoveries, staff members who swear they've seen things in the halls late at night, and a history of cases that don't quite add up. For Emma, the hospital is a second home, a place she's come to know too well over the months of Tommy's treatment. For Jack, it's a maze of anxiety, every corner reminding him of his mom's fragility. And for Sarah, it's a battlefield, where she fights to keep her patients alive while wrestling with her own ghosts. The hospital's atmosphere, those sterile walls, the constant hum of machines, the way time seems to bend in the waiting rooms, amplifies the tension between Emma and Jack, making their connection feel like a lifeline. But it also raises questions. Is there something about St. Mary's that's drawing these people together? Is the hospital hiding secrets of its own? You're starting to see the bigger picture, aren't you? This isn't just a love story, it's a web of mysteries, and every thread you pull reveals something new. The tension's building now, and I can feel you leaning in, wanting to know what happens next. Let's go back to that corridor, where Emma's still reeling from that phone call. She's trying to stay calm, but her hands are shaking as she tucks her phone away. Jack's watching her, his own worries about his mom pushed to the side for a moment because he can see Emma's struggling. He asks, "What's wrong?" And she hesitates, like she's not sure how much to share. That's when Sarah walks by, her eyes lingering on them just a second too long, and you can almost feel the air shift. Emma finally speaks, her voice low, saying something about Tommy, something about a test result that doesn't make sense. Jack listens, his hands still close to hers, and you can tell he's not just hearing her words, he's feeling her pain. But here's the kicker, as Emma talks, Jack's face changes, like something she said hit a nerve. Did she mention a detail that connects to his own life? Is there a link between Tommy and Diane that neither of them realizes yet? You're dying to know, I bet, because this is the kind of plot twist that makes a story go viral, the kind that has you searching real-life mysteries on YouTube late at night. I'm not gonna give it away yet, but I will say this, the answers are coming, and they're gonna hit harder than you expect. I want you to stick with me here, because this story's about more than just Emma and Jack. It's about the way life throws us together, the way a single moment can ripple out and change everything. You're invested now, I can tell, and I'm not gonna let you down. You're probably thinking about your own life, those times when a stranger's kindness or a random encounter left a mark on you. That's what makes this story so special. It's not just about them, it's about all of us. Emma's fighting for her brother, Jack's fighting for his mom, and Sarah's fighting to make sense of a hospital that's full of secrets. Their stories are weaving together, and every new detail I share is another step toward the truth. But we're not there yet, and that's the fun of it, right? You love the suspense, the not knowing, the feeling that you're on the edge of something huge. So let's keep going, you and me, diving deeper into this true story that's got love, mystery, and a whole lot of heart. What's the deal with that phone call? What's Jack hiding? And what does Sarah know that could change everything? You're not going to want to miss the next part, because just when you think you've got this figured out, something's going to flip the script. The air in that hospital corridor is thick now, like the world's holding its breath, and Emma's voice is barely above a whisper as she tells Jack about the phone call. Her brother Tommy's test results came back, and they're not just bad, they're confusing, hinting at something the doctors can't quite pin down, something that might tie his illness to a bigger, scarier puzzle. Jack's listening, his eyes locked on hers, but there's a flicker in his expression, a shadow of recognition that makes your heart skip because you know he's holding something back. Sarah, the nurse, is still lingering nearby, her sharp gaze catching every detail, and you can feel the tension coiling tighter, like a spring about to snap. Then, out of nowhere, the hospital's overhead speaker crackles, announcing a code blue in the ICU, Diane's room. Jack's on his feet in an instant, his face pale, and Emma grabs his arm, her own fears forgotten as she tries to anchor him. But here's where it gets wild, you guys. As they rush toward Diane's room, Sarah intercepts them, her voice low and urgent, saying something about a file she found, something that connects Tommy and Diane in a way no one could have predicted. What's in that file? How does it tie two strangers' loved ones together? And why does Jack look like he's just seen a ghost? You're hooked, aren't you? This true story is spiraling into territory you didn't see coming, and I'm gonna pull you deeper into the chaos, because the stakes just got higher, and the twist I'm about to drop is gonna leave you reeling. Stick with me, because this is the kind of real-life drama that trends on YouTube for a reason, and you're not gonna want to miss what happens next. Let's dive into that twist, because it's a game changer, the kind of plot twist that makes you pause the video and yell, "What?" at your screen. Sarah's holding a thin manila folder, her hands steady but her eyes wide, like she's just uncovered something she wasn't supposed to. She pulls Emma and Jack aside, away from the chaos of the code blue response, and whispers that she was digging through old hospital records after noticing similarities in Tommy and Diane's cases. The file she found isn't just routine paperwork, it's a report from years ago, buried in St. Mary's archives, about a clinical trial that went wrong, one that involved a drug linked to rare, unpredictable illnesses. Tommy's condition and Diane's heart issues? They might both trace back to that trial, which was hushed up by the hospital to avoid a scandal. Emma's stunned, her mind racing as she tries to process what this means for her brother, while Jack's reaction is even more intense. He's not just shocked, he's angry, his fists clenching like he's fighting to keep something inside. Why? Because Jack knows more about that trial than he's letting on. He's not just a worried son. He's got a connection to the hospital's past, one he's kept buried until this moment. You're probably screaming at me to spill the beans, but I'm not gonna ruin it yet. This is the kind of mystery that keeps you up at night, searching shocking hospital secrets on YouTube, because it's not just about Emma and Jack anymore. It's about a cover-up that could change everything. Keep watching, because this twist is just the beginning, and the truth is gonna hit harder than you expect. The main conflict is roaring now, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Emma's world is tilting. She's been fighting for Tommy's life, clinging to hope, and now she's faced with the possibility that his illness wasn't random, that someone somewhere made a choice that put her brother in that ICU bed. She's torn between rage and desperation, wanting to confront the doctors, demand answers, but also needing to stay by Tommy's side. Jack, meanwhile, is a ticking time bomb. The code blue for Diane has him on edge, and Sarah's revelation about the trial has cracked something open in him. He's not just worried about his mom anymore. He's grappling with guilt, because whatever he knows about that trial, it's eating him alive. You can see it in the way he avoids Emma's eyes, the way his voice shakes when he says, "I need to check on my mom." But Emma's not letting him off that easy. She senses he's hiding something, and she's not the type to back down. Their connection, that fragile bond they built in the corridor, is being tested, because trust is hard to hold on to when secrets start spilling out. You're feeling it, right? That pull to know more, to figure out how these two people, brought together by kindness, are now caught in a web of lies and half-truths. This is the kind of real-life story that goes viral, the kind you share with your friends because it's got love, betrayal, and a mystery that's bigger than any one person. Stay with me, because we're barreling toward a climax that's gonna leave you speechless. Let's deepen the subplots, because Sarah's not just a side character. She's a key to unlocking this whole mess. She's been at St. Mary's for over a decade, and that case she's haunted by, the patient who vanished years ago? It's not just a ghost story. That patient was part of the same clinical trial Sarah just uncovered, and her disappearance was no accident. Sarah's been carrying that weight, wondering if she could have done more, and now seeing Emma and Jack, she's starting to think this is her chance to make things right. But she's not naive. Digging into the hospital's past could cost her job, maybe more, because St. Mary's has a way of protecting its secrets. Sarah's subplot is adding fuel to the fire, raising questions about who else knows about the trial, who covered it up, and what they're willing to do to keep it buried. Then there's Tommy, Emma's brother, who's more than just a patient. Through Emma's stories, we learn he's a dreamer, a guy who wanted to travel the world before his illness chained him to a hospital bed. His fight is the heartbeat of Emma's story, and the new questions about his condition are making her wonder if she's been fighting the wrong battle all along. You love a good subplot, don't you? The kind that weaves into the main story, making you search true crime mysteries, because you can't stop thinking about it. Sarah and Tommy's stories are tightening the suspense, and you're gonna want to see how they collide with Emma and Jack's. The hospital itself is practically screaming with tension now, its sterile halls feeling more like a labyrinth of secrets. The code blue for Diane is still unresolved, and Jack's racing to her room, Emma trailing behind because she can't let him face this alone. But as they move through the ICU, they pass rooms filled with other stories. Families praying, machines beeping, lives hanging in the balance. It's a reminder that St. Mary's is a place where hope and heartbreak coexist, and it's amplifying the stakes for everyone. Emma's thinking about Tommy, wondering if the trial's fallout means there's a treatment they've missed. Jack's thinking about his mom, but also about the past he's been running from, a past that's catching up fast. And Sarah? She's back at the nurse's station, flipping through that file, her heart pounding because she's just found a name. A doctor who ran the trial, someone who's still at the hospital. You're on the edge of your seat, I can tell, because this is the kind of drama that makes you hit the like button and dive into the comments to theorize. What's Jack's connection to the trial? Who's the doctor Sarah found? And will Diane pull through? These questions are burning, and I'm not answering them yet, because the climax is coming, and it's gonna be worth the wait. I want you to feel this story in your bones, because it's not just about Emma, Jack, or Sarah. It's about the moments that define us, the choices we make when everything's on the line. You're here because you love real stories, the kind that trend on YouTube for their raw emotion and jaw-dropping twists. You're probably thinking about your own life, those times when a single decision changed everything, or when you stumbled across a truth you weren't ready for. That's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just a hospital drama, it's a mirror, showing us how fragile and beautiful life can be. Emma and Jack's connection is still there, but it's fraying under the weight of secrets and fear. Sarah's digging deeper, risking everything to uncover the truth. And the hospital? It's a pressure cooker, ready to explode with revelations. You're invested, I know you are, because you're searching for inspiring true stories and shocking plot twists for a reason. So let's keep going, you and me, racing toward the moment when all these threads, love, guilt, betrayal, collide. What happens when Jack finally tells Emma the truth? What does Sarah's discovery mean for Tommy and Diane? And what's waiting in that ICU room? You're not going to want to miss the next part, because just when you think you've got this figured out, something's going to turn it all upside down. The ICU at St. Mary's Medical Center is a storm of chaos and hope as Emma and Jack burst through the doors, their hearts pounding in sync with the frenetic beeps of Diane's monitors. The code blue has the staff scrambling, but Jack's focus narrows to his mom, lying pale and still, her life hanging by a thread. Emma's right beside him, her hand on his shoulder, grounding him even as her own mind races with questions about Tommy and the mysterious clinical trial Sarah uncovered. Sarah herself is a few steps behind, clutching that manila folder like it's a lifeline, her face set with a determination that says she's done staying silent. The tension is unbearable, like the whole hospital is holding its breath, and you're right there with them, aren't you? You've been with me through every twist, every secret, and now we're at the climax of this true story, the moment where love, guilt, and truth collide in a way that'll leave you stunned. As the doctors work to stabilize Diane, Jack finally breaks, his voice raw as he turns to Emma and confesses the secret he's been carrying. He was a low-level employee at the pharmaceutical company that funded the trial years ago, and he knew about the risks but stayed quiet, haunted by his silence ever since. Emma's world tilts, she's falling for this man, but his past is tied to the pain that's tearing her brother apart. You're feeling the weight of this, I know, because this is the kind of real-life drama that trends on YouTube, the kind you search for when you type, shocking true stories, or emotional plot twists. Stay with me, because we're about to unravel every mystery, tie up every loose end, and hit you with one final twist that'll make this story unforgettable. Jack's confession hangs heavy in the ICU, the words slicing through the chaos like a knife. Emma's eyes fill with tears, not just from betrayal but from the realization that Jack's been carrying this guilt for years, punishing himself for a choice he made when he was young and scared. She wants to hate him, to walk away, but she can't, because she sees the man who sat with her in that corridor, who listened to her fears, who's fighting for his mom with the same desperation she feels for Tommy. The doctors finally stabilize Diane, her heart rate steadying, and Jack collapses into a chair, his face in his hands. Emma's torn, but she stays, because love, even when it's messy, doesn't let go that easily. Meanwhile, Sarah's not wasting time. She's tracked down Dr. Ellis, the physician named in the trial file, a man who's still practicing at St. Mary's, his reputation pristine despite the shadows of his past. Sarah confronts him in a quiet corner of the hospital, her voice steady as she lays out the evidence. The trial's drug caused long-term damage in patients like Tommy and Diane, and the hospital buried it to protect its funding. Dr. Ellis tries to deflect, but Sarah's relentless, and when she threatens to go public, he cracks, admitting the cover-up but claiming he was just following orders. This is the moment you've been waiting for, right? The truth is out, and it's as gut-punching as you hoped, the kind of revelation that makes you search hospital scandals on YouTube because you need to know more. But the story's not over yet. There's a resolution coming, and it's gonna tie every thread together in a way that'll hit you right in the heart. The climax peaks as Emma, Jack, and Sarah come together, their stories colliding in a way that feels like fate. Emma takes the file from Sarah, her hand shaking as she reads the details. The trial's drug wasn't just risky, it was experimental, pushed through without proper testing, and Tommy's rare illness is a direct result of his exposure as a child, when their mom volunteered for the trial without knowing the dangers. Diane, too, was a participant. Her heart condition a slow-burning consequence that's only now come to light. The realization is a punch to the gut, but it also sparks something in Emma. A fire to fight, not just for Tommy, but for everyone hurt by the trial. She and Jack make a pact, right there in the ICU, to hold the hospital accountable, to use the truth to get Tommy and Diane the treatment they need. It's a moment of unity, of love forged in the crucible of pain, and you can feel the power of it, can't you? This isn't just a story about two people finding each other. It's about redemption, about standing up when the world tries to knock you down. Sarah joins them, promising to testify if it comes to a lawsuit, her own ghosts finally quieted by the chance to make things right. You're probably tearing up a bit, because this is the kind of resolution that trends for its heart, the kind you share when you're searching inspiring real-life stories late at night. But hold on, because there's one more twist, and it's gonna leave you speechless. Here's the final twist, the one that'll make this story stick with you long after the video ends. As Emma and Jack sit by Diane's bedside, watching her breathe easier, a nurse brings them a letter, one that was found in the hospital's old records, addressed to the trial participants but never sent. It's from a whistleblower, someone who worked on the trial and tried to warn the patients before they were silenced. The letter reveals that the drug wasn't just a mistake. It was deliberately mismanaged to boost profits, and the whistleblower's name? It's Jack's father, a man he thought abandoned him years ago but was actually driven out of the industry for trying to do the right thing. Jack's world flips. He's not just a cog in the machine. He's the son of a hero, and his silence was a betrayal of his father's legacy. This revelation breaks him open, but it also heals something in him, giving him the strength to fight alongside Emma. You didn't see that coming, did you? It's the kind of twist that makes you rewind, that has you searching emotional family secrets, because it's so raw, so real. The letter gives Emma and Jack the final piece they need to expose the trial, and they do. Filing a lawsuit that forces St. Mary's to fund new treatments for Tommy, Diane, and others affected. Tommy's condition stabilizes, Diane's heart grows stronger, and Sarah finds peace, her role in the truth setting her free. The resolution settles over the story like a warm blanket, but it's not without its scars. Emma and Jack's love is real, but it's complicated. They're together, building a life, but they're still learning to trust each other after everything. The hospital's reputation takes a hit, but it's a wake-up call, sparking reforms that save lives down the line. Sarah moves on to a new hospital, her courage a quiet legend among the staff. And you, watching this, you're feeling it all. The joy, the pain, the hope. Because this story's not just about them, it's about us. It's about the power of kindness, the way one moment of connection can change everything. You're thinking about your own life, those times when you reached out or someone reached out to you, and that's the takeaway I want you to carry. This true story, trending for its heart and its twists, shows us that love and truth can win, even when the odds are stacked against them. You're gonna share this, aren't you? Search uplifting love stories, or real-life miracles, and you'll see why this one's special. Thank you for sticking with me, for living this journey with Emma, Jack, and Sarah. Their story's over, but its echoes? They're gonna stay with you, reminding you to be kind, to be brave, to believe in the impossible.